What is going on? It is your boy, High Noon Crypto here with a fantastic video. This one is going to be a pure hopium video, okay? Right into the veins. Nothing I say in this video is practically researched, and it's all just thoughts, opinions of a guy who is incredibly bullish on things to come, right? Now, if you see the title of this video, I haven't came up with a creative title yet as I'm recording this. I already got the thumbnail. So how I make these videos, idea, then can I find a cool meme thumbnail or something? And then I record off the dome, very little notes, and then as I'm uploading it, I come up with a title. But the title will be something like 10,000x, why PulseX can do this, or I try to think of something creative. I try to be a little different. But the heart of this video is made because the idea I've been thinking of, like, everything is so fucking doom and gloom in the post chain ecosystem. It's of course the Interpol shit. The latest FUD has been the watches that were seized, and then the Maddie all in. The Hex conference just wrapped up, and I didn't watch it. But according to the Twitter streets, it was a lot of these influencers who've created other coins coming together to suck Hex's dick, even though they really don't believe in Hex and Pulse Chain and PulseX no more. They're just trying to extract as much value to their thing as possible. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even mad at that idea. I'm not mad at the idea that people are going to be cutthroat and do whatever they can to grift unsuspecting people, because that is the world we live in. And I'm tired of this naivete where people expect all these people to be magnanimous people and good of heart and good morals. No, if this is the Wild West as we so much proclaim it, then you got to act like the Wild West, and from a stance of the people who know that there are bandits, there's robbers, there's all these terrible people in this space. So I'm not surprised when somebody in this space pretends to be something and then show their true colors. Like, you have to see through that grift. And and I'm not talking about like the people who don't have no idea what's going on. I'm talking about the people who do have ideas going on. They keep on, oh, I can't believe that I fell victim to this, or I shield this that went 90. That of course we know. Insert one of 1,000 coins, right? Anywho, let me get off of that. Let me get back to the real thing. So this is why Pulse and Pulse X are going to do 10,000 X's. In no particular order, I'm just going to start rambling, and hopefully you enjoy these incoherent thoughts, right? So the first reason why, oh, I forgot. I got to put a date on it. Here's why Pulse and Pulse X will 10,000 X by November 9th or 10th, 2025, right? The date is important, right? And I'm going to get to the date in many roundabout ways. But the first roundabout way that I'm going to get to the date is that date particular is because that is the 2.5 year mark from when Pulse Chain was launched. If the date calculator I used is correct, 2.5 years, which is like 912 days, 913 if you round up, puts you squarely at from May 12th, 2023, puts you at November 9th or 10th, 2025. So we will do this by that date, right? And the first reason is the obvious, right? Richard spent all this time talking about, well, if Ethereum did it in 2.5 years, why couldn't something better do it, right? And I agree with him, right? Ethereum did do it, so why couldn't something better do it? Now, a lot of people are gonna probably, well, I'm not gonna say a lot of people, probably very few people will ever see this video, and I don't do it for the fucking clicks and the likes and shit. I just do it because it's fun. But for the people who do see this, they're probably gonna be, they're probably rolling their eyes, saying like, "Oh, brother, that in essentially 11 months from now, technically, 10, 10, 11 months." Yeah, brother. Okay, sure. But let's keep these things in perspective. Ethereum did it when there was way less money in this crypto shit. We can do it, and people are they're gonna jump at the the market cap. They're going to jump at how much was sacrificed. And all that stuff is fine because all of it is relative. I read a stat today. Don't know how true it is because it feels like the number changes. But it said 80%. So I'm just going to take 10% off. Actually, I'm going to take 15% off and say 65%. Yeah, 65% of all money in circulation was created after 2020, so after the pandemic, right? So you have the amount of money that the United States have, 65% of it was created after 2020, right? Now, what does that mean? That means that you are dealing with so much more money in the world in the last 5 years. Actually, it's really not even 5 years at the time of this recording. It's like 4 years, 10 months, right? So if Ethereum could do it from 2016 to 2018, right? Why can't we do it when there's 65% more money in the fucking circulation, right? So just from a pure mathematical standpoint, you just have more dollars. And because we know that things go up against the dollar because they print more of it, it shouldn't be so hard to believe that, hey, we can hit this number, right? So one, we just have the dollar amounts on our side, right? We don't even have to get into the whole Trump presidency and being pro crypto and interest rates coming down and all this other stuff. We don't even have to get into that. And I'm not going to get into that because that horse has been beat. I'm coming with new, fresh, fun things to talk about, right? So we have the time, 2.5 years. And that's one is because all the money is printed, right? But then I start thinking, right? Let's go next level. Let's go next fun level, right? Because as I said, I don't really have no real basis for this. I just think this is a fun video to make because everything else is fucking sucky. Everything else is like arguing with Charles Hoskinson and shit like that. Like let's stop talking about these losers and let's focus on our own home, right? So one thing I think about is why did Richard have the sacrifices for Pulse and Pulse X when they had them, right? Now, peep this, right? Obviously, Pulse Chain was nowhere close to being done when the Pulse Chain sacrifice came out. Or maybe it was, and then they realized, oh no, we kind of fucked this up, right? So there's two trains of thoughts here. The first train of thought is they thought they were close, did the sacrifice, and thought they'd be launching like a couple weeks after, and then they discovered, like, imagine you missed like 10 pages of a fucking experiment on how or on a instruction manual on how to create a nuclear power generator, and then you're like, oh shit, these 10 pages were missing, so we got a lot more shit we got to do, right? So that's one train of thought. Or the second train of thought is, what if he just wanted to extract maximum value from the total crypto space? Now, let's go do some revisionist history, because that is honestly my favorite kind of history. Pulse Chain sacrifice started in July. Well, what happened a few months before July? Richard calls the top on Bitcoin. I just went and looked it up. He called it, I think, April 11th or April 12th, 2021. He said, this is the top, 65K, right? And if you have watched any of those live streams pre-Pulse Chain going live, sacrifice going live, he was talking about how they were just killing it. How, man, we had all this stuff we thought it was going to be hard. My devs are so good. We're knocking this shit out the park, right? Well, you call it, and then what? Well, granted, you got April, so you got May, June, July. You got 3 months after. Well, Pulse Chain sacrifice come out. If you call the top and people finally believe that, hey, maybe the top is in, why not sacrifice? Why not de-risk into something that you think, okay, well, Bitcoin has had its run, bear market time is coming. Let's put it in here, and then we're going to see maximum upside because I can take the top. I can sell the top of Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these things hypothetically, and put it into there because nobody believed that it was the top at 65K. Everybody thought they were going to 100K. Richard really didn't start getting validated until that shit dipped below like 40K, right? Or it was dipping towards 40K, right? So one, I think he did it specifically in July because he realized that people were now starting to believe it was the top. Even though he called the top, they were starting to believe now that it was the top, right? So I have no way to support this. This is just all dates are similar. I'm coming up with creative ideas. Don't forget that about this video. This is all just creative thinking, right? So, boom, right? We got that. Post chain sacrifice. 2 weeks, if I recall correctly. Wasn't a long time period, right? So then after that, they're developing. But what happens to the Bitcoin price? The Bitcoin price fucking whoop, hits a U-turn, hits a about face and starts going back up, right? And what does it do? It really created a double top, but it went past the 65K mark, right? It went all the way up to what, 69,000, I think was the top. It didn't close at 65,000, or 69,000, excuse me. But when was that, right? So he calls the first top in April. It then trades sideways until, get this, November 10th, right? If you November 10th, how could you? Oh man, it's definitely going 10,000x by November 10th. So November 10th was the candle that reached the new all-time high. And Richard always says, he says that it was in profit for every day except one in which it made a Judas candle, got everybody long, and then it bam went straight down from there. Well, what happened really a month later? Now there had been talk about the Pulse X, or Pulse, first it was what, Pulse Swap, then it became Pulse X and then sacrifice for it. I can't really remember when they started talking about it. But if it was any time, shit, I have to imagine after September, the price of Bitcoin was rising back up. So was this seen as another value extraction kind of play? Hey, well, crypto's kind of pumping back up. Maybe that wasn't the top that I called, but whatever. Hey, let's extract more value from crypto, right? From the crypto markets, right? Because remember, at this time, the sacrifices were so big, the number was so large because everybody was a fat cat when this happened. Everybody. It was such a fat cat that as Crypto Wonder, shout out Pastor Wonder, always say that Liquid Loans and Mentra and all these other things got millions of dollars. Right? They got millions of dollars with no record. They hadn't proved shit. Millions of dollars of sacrifice because everybody had money during this time, right? So when is the best time to extract value? When things are valuable. You can't extract shit if nobody has any money during a bear market, which made all the shit that came when Hexaco was down. It made it kind of weird because nobody's giving. No, well, people still do it because they're stupid, but you can't get as much, right? It's hard to grift when there's no money to be grifted. But still, the grifter's gonna grift, shit. Anywho, so November 10th, Bitcoin hits its second top, $69,000. Go straight down. A month later, Pulse X sacrifices open, and that shit. Remember, it's more known. Richard following has gotten bigger since the Pulse chain sacrifice. So therefore, a lot of people who felt they missed Pulse chain went stupid heavy into Pulse X. And we all know this. Stupid heavy. But there was also a lot of money out there in the streets because Bitcoin had just, at this point, it's like, hey, we went 65, it went down, people were scared, it went back up. We're definitely hitting 100K, right? People are sacrificing like crazy for a fucking DEX, right? Buy and burn, all these mechanisms, all this good stuff. And remember, this is in 2021 going into 2022 for the Pulse X sacrifice. So I think the reason why we're going to hit this number is because think about the money that was extracted from the last cycle that sits directly in the sacrifice wallet, excuse me, right? Now, what a lot of people always are talking about the Sack Daddy and stuff, I'm not going to be, it could go either way, right? I think that you can make okay, I'm not going to get serious. This is just a fun video. We're also, think about this, right? Hex does a 10,000x. Hex does a 10,000x exactly too, right? If the numbers are right, and I think the numbers that are always quoted is Hex all-time low January 2nd, 2020? 4056. Hex all-time high, 56 cents, 10,000x, right? Does nobody find that weird? That the number that he's always quoted saying that it could hit, it hit that exactly? Like, it didn't go like 10,002x, 10,000x. A nice round number. It's like the Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game, right? They have all this video footage of everything else in the world, but nobody has that 100-point game. Such a nice round number, right? It wasn't 103 points. It wasn't, it was 100 on the dot. So Hex does a 10,000x, right? Exactly. Less than 2.5 years, right? So one of the arguments is that people always say, well, Richard pumped Hex. He used all the ETH in his Bitcoin and he was rich and he pumped X and made it into 10,000X. So then by that logic, he could take the SAC money, right? Which SAC Daddy jokes have been going around, and he could use that to pump it. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've never seen the how they try to make it seem like that's a bad thing, right? That it's not organic, right? If he did pump it. And to me, it's like, well, if he pumped it, then I'm not going to say so what, but it's kind of like, it kind of is like, so what? Like, I don't, sometimes I don't want to know how the hot dog is made. Sometimes I don't want to see, how the things that are done because the end result is what I care about, right? And I'm not trying to say that like, oh, I just want maximum value, but hey, I do want fat bags. I do have a lot of things that I think I could do to help improve a lot of people's lives, and I could do that easily. I can do that more easily with more money. So you have people that will say the only reason Hex pumped a 10,000x exactly is because of Richard. Well, then why couldn't he just pump these things at 10,000x? He extracted the top of the market last cycle. He actually got people to sell the top to go into his thing, right? And yes, the overall number of the sacrifice bag is down because it was converted into ETH. It was converted out of DAI into ETH and Hex, and both of those things are down. But you still have that. You had that money to do these things. There was a lot of Hex that was sacrificed. A lot. And then, if I'm not mistaken, technically the sacrifice bags were forked also. So if you had all this DAI and things of that nature in the SAC bag when it was forked, when ETH or when Pulsechain came into existence, so the sacrifice funds have the EHEX, the PHEX. I can't remember exactly what all it was consolidated into, but you have a liquid bag of EHEX SAC funds and a liquid bag of PHEX SAC funds. It's yeah, like you could make a lot of shit happen with that, is what I'm getting at. So you have that idea. But let's just say Richard didn't pump the market. And let's just say the SAC Daddy doesn't pump the market. How do we go to 10,000x? Interesting. I've been seeing a lot. Well, Richard's been talking, and today he sent out a tweet about the PulseX, about it becoming more rare and things of that nature. And when things become rare against another thing, that other thing goes up and stuff like that. So he's already laying the groundwork for how once this mechanism really kicks into effect, it will pump, and everything tied to it will pump, right? Hart's law in many ways, but it's a little bit different than some of these other people that come out and they just always yell out the term hyperdeflationary, right? Hyperdeflationary. It becomes more rare, right? But their tokens aren't pumping, right? So it's something a little bit more nuanced than hey, this token just goes down because it is burnt. It's it I feel there's something that is so blatantly obvious that we're all missing that's really right in front of our face about why he keeps on mentioning PulseX. This is the second tweet in the last week or two in which he's in depth mentioned PulseX. So I just think that there's a surprise coming because there's a lot of hype being put around the PulseX, right? We've already burnt, what was it? I should have looked at Goalpost before I came here, but what was it? 5%, I think it was, if you don't include the OA bags, was already burnt. Um, and because so many people went harder for Pulse X, it's already sold off the hardest. A 10,000X from Pulse X is 9 cents versus a 10,000X from Pulse is 30 cents, right? So you have a lower benchmark to hit. It's really gaining in the ratio to Pulse also, and it's the lower price. We all know that in a closed ecosystem, they tend to naturally gravitate towards the lower priced object. That's why the whole EHEX thing is very interesting, because EHEX is way lower than PHEX. Obviously, you can get more coins, and maybe one day ETH fixes their gas fee problem. You look like a genius. I mean, you buy EHEX, stake it 15 years. They have 15 fucking years to get their shit together. I think that that's a pretty good hedge against everything, honestly. If you mean to tell me right now you can go get almost, I'm just going to do some quick math. If you can get 500,000 EHEX for, what was it? I think like $3,000 right now, and you stake it out 15 years, you got 15 years for them to get their shit fixed. That is a good deal to me. I like that deal. I would sell people on that deal before. You see, everybody be bitching and moaning and EHEX and PHEX and all this stuff, and it's like, bro, y'all are missing the point. Time is the ultimate factor here. It's not a matter of if we'll win, it's a matter of when we will win. And people here are so, don't get me wrong, it has been a long journey. But what other journey has been shorter than this that has contributed to more potential upside? In the grand scheme of things, Pulse Chain Sacrifice would have been 4 years ago in 6 months. If this video comes to fruition and it 10,000x's by November, let's just say that's 4.5 years. 4.5 years to get rich is so fucking small. Because what else could you have did minus hitting a fucking moonshot bag in the last 4 years to have gotten rich? I'll wait. Exactly. I didn't have to wait long, because it's so few things that you could have did that it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. So, but back to fun, 10,000x. So we have a couple of different floaty theories out there, right? Richard timed the sacrifices to capture the top of the markets, right? That money theoretically could be used, but let's not even go there, because that's low hanging fruit. Everybody's been saying that for a long time. I like the other thing. I like the other ideas, right? I like the idea that the reason why it will 10,000x is because we're going to see, out of the blue, a lot of whales start buying. Now you're probably thinking to myself, well, why would a lot of whales start buying? Right? What's their incentive to do this? Well, follow me here. We live on crypto Twitter, right? We live on crypto Twitter, and so therefore we think that what directly affects the chain has to be announced and discussed on crypto Twitter. But I've been around the world enough. I've lived in many different countries, and I've seen many different examples about how the people you've never heard of, that you would never hear of, right? By the most strictest of research, how do they manage to stay rich, right? So for every Warren Buffett, for every Elon Musk, for every fucking Bill Gates, there's 100 other guys who don't have as much money as them, but they're still in the 1%. And remember, there's percentages to the 1%, right? To be 1% earner in the entire world, you have to make over, I think they said $100,000 a year. But what about the 0.00001%? What about the 0.001%? What about the 0.01%? These are people who are worth millions, hundreds of millions, and even low billions of dollars. There's a lot of just really rich people that are out here doing the most, like, odd entrepreneurial things to get rich. But then they have to find a way to hedge their wealth as also grow their wealth, right? Crypto is the hot thing, right? FTX people are about to get their money back. I think in like another week. I think they said the 16th of January. Do you think that those people are just going to swear off of crypto? It's $16 billion folks are supposed to get back. I think Tom Brady and his wife lost 60 million. Let's just say they get their 60 million back. You think they're going to swear off of crypto? The answer is no. The answer is remember, failure is just another opportunity to start again more intelligently. Where did we fuck up last time? We fucked up doing this, this, and this. Okay, well, let's not make those fuck ups this time. Let's do either more research. Let's not put our trust in these things, and let's, excuse me, let's try again, but this time more intelligently. Now, these people that are investors that have real money, that have real teams that scour the globe, who come up with 100-page reports to say, hey, this is why we should allocate 2% over here, 5% over here. But remember, 2% of 100 million, right? Is 2 million. 2% of, I'm not even going to start doing the math. You can guess what 2% of these numbers are, right? But they have these teams. They go out, they do all this research, right? And they look for things that are undervalued and of good economic status and good funding, and that are things to help make them money. You got to remember, there is no such thing as morality to people when it comes to making money. That's why Bank of America got like a DOJ fine for laundering money for the cartels. That's why the IMF and the Federal Reserve and all these people loan money to these third world dictatorships that do nothing but oppress their people. There's no morality to it. So there's not going to be one rich person who thinks that Richard is a liability unless they thought he was a liability to lose the keys or to tank the price. Him physically. Him tanking the price. Remember that. Him. Not a bunch of whales with distinguishable wallets selling. That's not the same as him tanking the price. So as long as the OA don't sell, people will I don't have to explain the OA to people who are spending millions of dollars of research trying to get an edge to get a 3% return on their money, which is what Wall Street does. I think Wells only said it not too long ago. People know about this. They maybe can't buy it yet, or Wall Street maybe can't buy it yet, but they're buying it with their personal accounts. People, what was it? I think it was what's that bank? Maybe J.P. Morgan was telling people, they were telling their employees, you get fired if you buy Bitcoin, but then come to find out they were working the shit to get the company in to buy Bitcoin, right? Because they want to be first movers advantage, all this stuff like that, right? So peep game, right? Pulse chain severely undervalued right now, right? What harm does it do for a rich person to put after January 20th, once Trump's in office? Because we see that the SEC is, I give them credit. These folks that are all resigning on January 20th before Trump taking office, they're not going down. They're not going quietly into the night. They are giving one last fuck you as the ship is sinking. And I can admire that because you fight to the end, right? But all that shit changes 21 Jan 2025. I recently just had a conversation with some people in the military, and they were saying like, man, come 21st January, some shit in this AOR might change literally overnight. So there's a lot of people that are just really waiting to Inauguration Day, right? And once Inauguration Day comes, everything becomes good. I mean, people invest in Binance, and CZ had to pay, what was the fine, like $4 billion, and he went to jail for 4 years. Literally. And Binance is still in the top, 5, I think, as of today? Let's just say top 7. So do we really think that even the idea of somebody going to jail, like, would tank the price? I'm telling you, the only thing that would ward off any serious investors, not crypto Twitter, right? I'm talking about real money, people who spend real money to allocate funds, is that it would really just be the OA or SAC fund selling in a negative way. That's it, really it. If you don't see those things, and it hasn't happened yet, right? And I don't think it ever will. So and plus you have 5 years of them being able to do it, and it hasn't happened. So it's not like this thing just came out last week. You really have 2 years of Pulse Chain being flawless execution, flawless operation, and there has been no negative sell pressure from the entity that controls a bulk of the funds, right? So, I mean, you got to remember, man, like there's people out here they're watching this. How do you think he was mad? How do you think Richard, this think about this, right? Just really think about this. If you can't think about this, just close your eyes, clear your mind. This crypto community on crypto Twitter hates Richard Hart so bad that there's never any positive news about him, but yet there's always overwhelmingly negative news. I never saw Unusual Wells tweet anything about him raising the money for charity, freedom of speech, him fighting the SEC, but when the Interpol notice came out, they tweeted it, right? Unusual Wells is one of the biggest FinTwit accounts, and I've been following them since at least 2020. Everybody only talks about the bad. If that connotation of him was so true, how in the fuck did he raise over $1 billion in 2 sacrifice phases? Think about that. Who the fuck is giving this serial scammer, this fucking piece of shit, all the terrible things they call this man? Who the fuck is giving him this kind of money then? The real knows, man. Crypto Twitter is fucking fake. It's like my homegirl that comments on Twitter conversations on these black conversations. I'm like, that's not real life. In real life, like fucking men and women go 50-50 to build a household, especially in today's economy. Stop listening to these bots on Twitter because they have you thinking that some shit is completely real and it's so fucking far from the truth. So all the negative shit, all the negative publicity and stuff, nobody's giving a fuck about that, right? People, if they gave a fuck about that, they would have never gave them billions of dollars. Okay, and then let's just say that maybe they were scared that the SEC would win. But let's just say maybe they were scared that Richard Hart would go to jail. Maybe they were scared that something they already sold, and they were about back in higher. You know why? Because they know that realistically, if that shit didn't stop this train, why not make some money off of it? So that's real life though. That's not conjecture. Motherfuckers invest in private prisons. There's no morality to this shit. Motherfuckers will invest in what will make them money. An undervalued L1 chain that has worked flawlessly for 2 fucking years from somebody who they thought was smart enough to give billions of dollars to, with a pro crypto administration coming in. You don't think that the smart people who have the real money didn't listen to the same transcript? They may not listen to Gerardo's AI video, but you don't think they follow in that case and see just how well Pulse Chain and Richard is looking in the eyes of the SEC? Come on, man. Let's be for fucking real here for a second. So you have that whole part about the 10,000x, but ultimately, the main reason this thing's going 10,000x is because it's just designed to, right? It's just designed to. And when I say it's designed to, that just means that excuse me, everything goes up against the dollar because they keep on printing it like it's a joke. That's really all you need to know about any investment. The S&P does nothing but go up and to the right forever. Everything that has any kind of value just goes up and to the right. Houses, stocks, everything. Yeah, there's periods of time where it goes down and people reset the market, but everything will continue to go up until they stop printing the dollar like it's a joke. And newsflash, in order for them to do that, like even though they have this grandiose idea with Doge and Trump and stuff like that, it's not just as simple as just cutting off a light switch. It's more like, I would put it more akin to turning a yacht around, right? It takes some time and effort. And in the process of turning that yacht around, you're going to have to, burn more fuel than you would if you just kept going straight to get the yacht to fucking literally turn around, right? To go against the tide and stuff like that, just the friction of everything. So the money printing is going to continue. Now, it's going to come a point in time where if they can get this shit under control, it will. But it's like the saying, you got to spend money to make money kind of deal. It's like along those lines, right? So 10,000X coming up, baby. It's easy. And just to end this video on a high positive note, just remember this, right? If DCA didn't work, some of the most best investors that this world has ever seen wouldn't have done it, right? I remember when Post Chain Sacrifice came out. I think I was able to buy 20,000, maybe 20 or 30,000 hex for like anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000, and I sacrificed it. I just remember like seeing a lot of those wallets and stuff like that had hundreds of thousands and millions of hex, and then I'm looking up hex because I didn't learn about hex until I knew about it, but I didn't learn about it until the Post Chain Sacrifice, and I go and see a lot of shit they've been through and the big payday and all this stuff, and I'm like, damn, I would have invested in this and I would have had millions of tokens because I would have been buying it for the time it came out, like I had been doing Post and Post X all the way up until that point, right? Couple $100 this paycheck, couple $100 that paycheck. Maybe I'm up now, so I'm waiting for a dip. The dip comes, hey man, $1,000 this time, right? Shit, might even taking out a loan for it too. But then I just remember like, man, I wish I could have had millions of fucking hex. And then I get a 3-year fucking bear market, prices at low, people selling off, steady work, been able to DCA in and accumulate more than I could have ever imagined happening. The same with Pulse. And in essence, buying the hex and then sacrificing for Pulse, I was like, man, I wish I had more money so I could have 100 million of these things, or all this stuff. And then down under sack price, keep on buying, bag is looking good. Same thing with PulseX. So you often wish you could have things, and then when the opportunity presents itself, to seize the opportunity, people rarely seize it. Everybody talks about, if I would have known about Bitcoin back in this day. Well, what's stopping you from learning about the quote unquote new Bitcoin? The same people who said they wish they would have known about Bitcoin are the same people that still don't know shit about crypto. You got to want this shit. And this community does want it. The guy that created this shit does want it. And guess what? If you want it bad enough, you will win. It's not a matter of if, it's always literally a matter of when. But with that said, I'm at 40, almost coming up on 40 minutes. I'm done rambling. Remember, this is a fun video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it may have gave you a little bright sunshine and otherwise a very cloudy crypto market. But just remember, what's that stupid ass saying? It's always darkest right before the dawn and all these other cliche shit. The main thing you got to remember is just DCA for the win. Let time work for you. The whole purpose of Hex. The whole purpose of Hex is literally letting time work for you. Just let it work for you, baby. You're going to win. That's all. You just got to be in it to win it. Other than that, man, y'all stay easy. Y'all stay breezy. And I'll catch you on the next one. Your boy is out.